Hi, this is Kyle from Green Hat Local SEO, and in this video I want to go over something that almost all local businesses and a lot of SEOs get wrong. These types of links are super important to your site and really are one of the foundations of semantic SEO, especially in today's more semantic focused SEO landscape. And like I said, unfortunately, most people get this wrong. But before we get into that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me think if you think I'm full of shit, or if you feel called out by this video, or if you just have an idea for a video or a topic you want me to hit. Let me know. I may or may not do it. So let's get into this. What type of links do most people get wrong? And a lot of people do videos on links and stuff and link building and what links should you build? We're not talking about that. We're not talking about niche edits. I've done those videos. Not talking about guest posts. Done those videos. SEO Neil, a lot of people get those wrong. G-Stack, a lot of people get G-Stacks wrong. G-Site Genie, again, not something that everybody gets wrong. 90% of people get wrong. You know what everybody gets wrong, right? Is internal links, right? Now, internal links are a type of backlink. People don't realize this or really think about this, but internal links are internal backlinks, right? Each page that you link to internally, those links are backlinks from other pages on your site, and everybody gets this wrong. It's crazy how much people get internal links wrong. And this is one of those things that can push your site from ranking okay in the map pack, from Google having an okay understanding of your site, to Google just seeing your site as a complete mess, having no understanding of what's going on. People can't get around to it, and therefore Google does not want to rank it for anything. This is also a way to reduce the amount of money that you are spending on your off-page SEO campaign. So if you do your internal linking correctly, you don't have to spend as much money building out these guest posts, building out these niche edits, using Google Stacks or SEO Neo or G-Site Genie, anything like that, because you are making the most out of that external link power and that external page rank by using efficient internal linking. Now, what does this mean? So everybody knows internal links are a link from one page on your site to another, but what makes a good internal linking scheme better than a bad internal linking scheme? Well, one thing I want to tell you is there are some yahoos out there that tell you that all you need to do is post all these local landing pages, all these city pages, and don't even internally rank them because they're low quality and people are going to see this. You just need to get them crawled and discovered by the sitemap. And I'm telling you, this is unequivocally the wrong way to do it. Yes, Google may or may not discover these pages via the sitemap. One, that's a really inefficient way of doing this. Two, users are not going to be able to find the pages this way. And three, that's just going to make your backlink budget balloon, because none of the page rank, none of the goodness from niche edits or guest posts going to other pages are going to be flowing to these ones because they aren't linked together except in a sitemap, which Google just does not care about, right? So when you link from a sitemap, right, you have what's called your sitemap.xml. Right? So if you're using WordPress or using any sort of SEO plugin, it's going to create this. And the sitemap.xml is going to have all your links on it, but these aren't HTML links, right? They're different types of links that do or do not pass PageRank, right? They do or do not pass link juice, and these types don't, right? There's another type of link that you might see sometimes, especially with really big sites, don't really have to rely on internal linking and guest posts and page ranks and stuff, and that's JavaScript linking, which we're not going to cover here because I would say 99% of local businesses don't need to worry about this, especially if you're using WordPress. But sitemap links do not pass any sort of link juice, any sort of page rank. This does not matter. All this matters to Google is that they know that this page exists. But if this page exists on the sitemap but nowhere else and people can't get to it, then what does that even matter, right? And if this page is not getting any link juice from any of the other pages, then why are you even building guest posts and niche edits, right? So think of it this way, right? So think of flowing around your link juice like you have a bucket. Let's say this bucket is your home page, right? This is your home page. Now this is the page where most people shoot the bulk of their links. I can't tell you how many times I've gone and audited sites, and people have all their guest posts, all their niche edits, all their press releases going to their home page, which, okay, fine, whatever. That is not nearly the most efficient way of doing things, but it's not really going to hurt you either, especially if your homepage is targeting your main keyword and that's the only city that you're going to be targeting. Like, for example, like if you are, for example, like a handyman who only works in the city of LA, well, the city of LA has enough people there to sustain a handyman business. You could literally create a site just called Handyman in Los Angeles, rank that page, rank that GDP, and have a comfortable life. Right? But if you're doing something competitive, like say, for example, you're down here in Orange County, where we have, I can't tell you how many, 30-something different cities, then you can't just have your homepage ranking for all the cities in the county. You're going to need to create different location pages, right? Different city pages. So let's say you do that. Well, what's going to happen is if you pour all your guest posts, all your niche edits, whatever, you pour all that water into your homepage, then you're going to have your different pages linking to it, right? Well, what you're going to have to do is poke some holes in this bucket to make sure all that link juice goodness, well, at least part of it, because internal links do drop some link juice and some page rank when they flow down. That is going to have to deplete some of the water from this bucket in order to fill up these buckets, right? So what happens though if you have all these pages linking directly off of the home page because you think this is the best way to do it? Well, now you have all these different holes. You have a really leaky bucket, right? You have all these holes going down to these pages, and you have to work 10 times as hard to fill it up. You have to spend 10 times the budget to get all these links over to your home page, right? In order to get all the link juice flowing down to these other pages. And you're thinking, well, but these are all internal links. I thought you told me efficient internal linking is going to help with all this, right? Well, there are better ways to do these things, right? So let's say you have your homepage, right? What's going to be at your homepage? It's going to be a lot of niche edits, a lot of guest posts, PRs, citations are going to be going here. Cool, that's great. And then you're going to link off to this page, right? And then let's say this is your homepage. And then let's say this is Anaheim, right? Right over here. Well, you have one link, page off of the homepage going here. It's going to be passing a lot of link juice, right? Which is great. So let's say that you're a plumber, right? And then you have /Anaheim plumber. Well, then what happens if you want to rank for emergency plumber, which needs its own page? What a lot of people do is they will put emergency plumber right here. Boom. Right? And then what happens when they want to rank in Huntington Beach? Well, they have the HB page, right? Links going there. Then they have the HB emergency plumber page. Links going there. So you can see how unruly this can get. But let's say that you have your plumber in Anaheim page, and then you have the emergency plumber page right here, right? So now you have homepage.com/Anaheim/emergency plumber. Well, if you have your links going from here to here to here, right, you're going to be losing all of the link juice that's going from here. It's going to be lost going to all these pages, going to all these going to this page, and then to this page, right? But what happens if instead you have these pages internally linked? You have emergency plumber, you have commercial plumber, right? You have residential plumber, right? And then what happens if instead of relying on the homepage to get all the links and then to inefficiently distribute the links to these pages, what if instead you took some of these and you used cheaper links over to this page, right? Well, now all of a sudden, this is a hell of a lot easier to rank for plumber in Anaheim than this page is. So this requires fewer links, right? Let's say you put your guest posts and your niche edits here. You might not even need guest posts. You could get away with niche edits that are on average 50%, 75% cheaper than a guest post, right? Well, now instead of relying on 2 hops to get to here, you shoot your links here, and then it's this bucket that needs to get filled up with, which is smaller and cheaper than this bucket, right? Because this is targeting a very specific keyword. And then it goes to emergency plumber in Anaheim, commercial plumber in Anaheim, residential plumber in Anaheim, which are, again, even smaller keywords, smaller buckets that you need to fill up. So now instead of spending, say, $10,000 with links to this page, now you're spending maybe $2,000 on niche edits to this page, right? So what happens here? Well, and this is where the internal linking, everybody gets this wrong because they don't understand semantics and how Google looks at these things. Well, now you have all these links going here, but now you shoot links in between these highly related keywords. So now all of a sudden your link is going here, it's going here, flowing here, flowing back up here. Links are going down here, flowing here, flowing here, flowing here. So now you have this big ecosystem of highly related pages that are flowing the PageRank all in between each other. So you can see how doing it this way, by having all these highly related internally pages, internally linked in a topic cluster like this, can really chop your link building budget in, if not by half, right, by a lot. This is, I mean, you can even get away with like a 2/3 cut in your link building budget. Now, let's say that you don't have the money for guest posts and niche edits. Like, let's say you don't have $1,000 per month budget, right? Well, what are you going to do? Why not then use SEO Neo, right? SEO Neo, or like G-Site Genie, which is a hell of a lot cheaper than trying to spend $500 on guest posts and niche edits. But because these right here, right, are longer tail keywords, they aren't going to need a huge link building budget. So what you can do here instead is shoot your links here to these pages, right? And then rely on these pages to pass the link juice around, because all of a sudden, because you've internally linked between all of these highly related pages, Google is going to pass the link juice around just like this. So instead of having to spend a ton of money on guest posts, niche edits, and being burned by buying really shitty PBNs, because that's what happens when we don't have the link building budget, then you just use something like SEO Neo, or you get one run of G-Site Genie, and you allow the internal links to spread that link juice around and spread that PageRank around for you. So you can see here, if you do your internal linking correctly, you are just really magnifying the effect and the power of these links. Now, this isn't going to work if you just go and link willy-nilly. Again, a lot of people say, okay, well, if the link juice is going to be spread around by internal links anyway, I'm just going to link here, and I'm going to link here, and I'm going to link here, and just link everywhere, and let these internal links pass all the PageRank around they want, pass around all the link juice they want. And that's really not how this works. This works the best if you internally link between highly related pages, which means you need to build out your topic silo, which I know a lot of people talk about, but all I hear is people talk about it with regards to blog posts and not with regards to local SEO. And this also leads into why it's important to have a logical site structure, because it makes it so much easier. So what is a logical topical silo for a local SEO site? I mean, simply put, what it is you want to start with your most highly competitive keywords at the top of your silo, and then build out the supporting content below that, and then add blogs in there as well. So, for example, going off of the plumber example, so we are going to have, so we'll have the homepage, right? Cool, this should be about your brand. We're not going to worry about this, but then we're going to have plumber again in Anaheim. So it's going to be targeting things like keywords like plumber near me, plumber in Anaheim, just a keyword plumber is going to show up or is going to trigger the map pack. It could be plumber open right now would trigger this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to break this down into smaller chunks. So now you're going to have your emergency plumber Anaheim page, right? Now you're going to have your commercial plumber Anaheim page, right? Now you're going to have your residential plumber in Anaheim page, right? And you can even go further than that, right? You don't want to get too crazy because some of these keywords can all go on the same page. But then you can even do things like, okay, plumber in Anaheim, and then you can do, let's say you do sewer line repair. Sewer line repair, right? So now you have slash sewers. Now you have this as the head of your next topical silo. Now you have emergency sewer line repair. Now you have commercial sewer line repair. Now you have residential sewer line repair, right? So you can see here how you have your site.com/plumber/Anaheim/sewer. So you can see here by just by planning out your site logically, how much easier it is to plan out your silos, right? So now, like I said, you have plumber, Anaheim, boom, 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 right? You know exactly where these pages need to be internally linked to have the most semantic relevance and to push the most power, right? So now we know exactly how we interlink between these sub-silo pages, between these supporting pages, and then how these need to link back up to the main topic. And we know now that the residential sewer line repair, commercial sewer line repair, emergency sewer line repair, all of these are going to be linked together and then linking up to this main topic silo right here, right? So by planning it out, you know exactly where your internal links need to be and how your pages need to be linked to pass around the most amount of link juice. If we try to link from sewer line repair to, let's say, toilet unclogging, that wouldn't really be as relevant, right? And Google knows that. So if we wanted to go even a step further, then what we would do is we would have our blog over here, right? Now, blogging is something that I don't recommend people spend a ton of their marketing budget on if you're in local SEO, because that's not going to be where most of your customers come from. And if you do it too much, right, if you have, let's say, 15 service pages and then you blog about just everything under the sun because you heard some SEO tell you that this is semantic SEO, this is the way to do it, is to cover the knowledge graph about everything, then you run the risk of Google reclassifying your site as like a Wikipedia type or informational type of site rather than a local business. So blog, but blog with caution, right? Don't overdo it. 1 or 2 blogs a month is perfectly fine. You don't need to cover every single topic under the sun if you're trying to rank your map. But blogs are a great way to get internal links, again, as long as they are relevant and as long as you don't have too many blogs on your site. So for example, going back to sewer line repair, you can write a blog post about, signs your sewer line is about to fail, right? Then you write your content right here. You're making sure that you are writing quote unquote helpful content, that you're covering all the subtopics about this you need to. And then you link from this blog post over to your sewer line repair site, right? Now, what you don't want to do is then put a reciprocal link back to the blog unless it is really, really important. Now, signs your sewer line is about to fail, you can put that as a reciprocal link, but when you get to 10, 20, 30 blog posts about sewer line repair, like I said, you run the risk of really depleting your bucket and putting way too many holes in there, and then you're just bleeding out the page rank. So do it with caution. Maybe 1 or 2 internal links from a service page to a blog is really all that's needed. However, because you aren't really relying on these blog posts to get leads, because somebody in Wyoming could read this blog post for this plumber in Anaheim, it's okay to put extra internal links from this blog to other pages, keeping in mind that for every internal link that you put in there, the links become less and less powerful. But you aren't really relying on these to rank, just to show Google that you are an expert in sewer line repair. Show somebody who lands on your site, maybe from a branded search, that yes, you are an expert in this, and here's all the blog posts to prove it. So you can link 3, 4, 5, 6 times from a blog post to related pages, service pages, but you don't want to do the reverse and have 3, 4, 5, 6 internal links from your service page to a blog post, because you're just wasting all that link juice that you've been fighting so hard for, because it is an inefficient way to internally link. So one thing that people are always cautioned against when building external links, guest posts, and niche edits is you don't want to overuse anchor text, especially exact match mentions, but there's no problem with that internally. So just for a refresher, we're talking about anchor text, and anchor text is literally the words that are being linked to. So in this case, it could be, an exact match would be plumber in Anaheim, or plumber near me, we'll say, for example. These are the keywords I want to rank for. We don't want to spam these on our niche edits, on our guest posts, on SEO Neo, anything like that, because that looks unnatural. But internally, it doesn't really matter. You can spam exact match anchor text, you can spam whatever you want with abandon, because it's your own site. So on your blog, you can literally put a sentence in there like, hey, if you need a plumber in Anaheim, call us, and then link from plumber in Anaheim to the plumber site. Or hey, if you're looking for a, you can be like, a lot of people's Google plumber near me, looking for a plumber. Who do you choose? And then you would use plumber near me and link with this anchor text to your plumber page. And there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, I would encourage you to do that, because it is really hard to spam and overuse internal anchor text. Now, if you are worried about that, you can always use partial match. Like you can just use maybe the keyword plumber, or maybe the keyword sewer lines, which is related to plumber, right? You can do that too if you're worried about it, but I really wouldn't worry about that too much, right? Go ahead and spam the exact match anchor text over to your service page. It is only going to help. I have yet to run into a site that got demoted because of overuse of exact match internal anchor text. I can tell you, I have run across, in my 20 years of doing this, probably 500 to 1,000 sites that got hit for overuse of exact match anchor text with guest posts and niche SEO Neo, things like that, but have yet to run into that with internal anchor text overuse. So another question I get people asking is, okay, well, how do I know what pages are highly related? What blog posts should I use where? How do I link my blog posts together? How do I know which of my service pages are related? Well, there's a couple different ways to do this. One is if you are trying to rank for plumber keywords, then you know just by doing your in your day-to-day and by owning your business for as long as you have, what keywords are going to be related, right? You know that if somebody, if you're a plumber, then you're going to go to emergency plumbing calls, right? You're going to be going to commercial plumbing calls, to residential plumbing calls. You're going to be going for sewer line, or for pipe clogs, for water heater repair, stuff like that. So you know that those are all going to be related. Another way you can do it is to literally just do a Google search and see what page titles are showing up for those searches. For example, if you search for emergency plumber in Anaheim, you're going to see a lot of pages that are literally titled emergency plumber in Anaheim, but you're not going to see ones called sewer line repair, or you're not going to see ones mentioning sewer line repair. So you know that those are different enough that Google isn't putting them on the same search, so you probably shouldn't interlink between those pages, right? Another way to do it is by using a keyword clustering software. There's a few that you can use. There's a lot actually on the market. The two that I would recommend are Keyword Insights or WriterZen. And let me show you what they look like. So this is WriterZen. So WriterZen is a really great software for beginners, because it lays everything out really in a really nice and clean and pretty manner, where you can see exactly what the keywords are, what their search volume is. With Keyword Insights, you can pop in your main keyword. It'll do the keyword research for you, and then tell you, okay, so what keywords are trending, which keywords are valuable depending on the CPC right here. CPC means cost per click, which means how much are businesses bidding just for a click on this. Obviously, the higher the bid, the more valuable it is. But what's really great about WriterZen is they have this button right here called Cluster. And what happens is if you pop in your keyword, and then you get, for example, 6,150 keyword ideas. They call them keyword ideas. These are related keywords. Well, when you hit that cluster, it will cluster all of these for you. So you can see here, if I click on to the left over here, different topics, it'll tell you what keywords to link together for this topic. So for the keyword heating and control units, you have this as the main topic. So you literally have a blog post called heating and control units. Then you have a blog post called air conditioning. And then you have a blog post that mentions these topics right here. Then you have a blog post called split air conditioning units that include these topics. And then the split air conditioning unit blog post would link to the air conditioning blog post, and both of those would link to the blog post called heating and cooling units. So while this doesn't tell you exactly what keywords to rank together, just by thinking about it a little bit, you can see that, oh, okay, this topic includes these keywords in the cluster. If all these keywords in the cluster are related, then I can interlink between all of these keywords in the cluster and then link up to the keyword air conditioning and furnace repair. The other one that I like that is a little more, is for professionals more, and takes a little more kind of getting used to, more of a learning curve, is Keyword Insights. It's at keywordinsights.ai. Keywordinsights.ai. This is something that I love using. I think this gets really in-depth and nitty-gritty, and you can also add in your own keywords. So we've literally done thousands of keywords at a time to get clustered. And here, you can see here that this tells you the search volume, and it also tells you the search intent classification. So you know if you need to write an informational type of article, if you need to write like a product post, a product or a category post, which means like category be like, here's the top 10 best pipes for your home or something, right? So it doesn't just tell you what keywords to link together, but also what kind of article to write, right? And just like with writers, and this tells you that the top of the cluster, which would be like Medicare insurance broker, what a subtopic would be, and then what subtopics, which would be like your H2s, if you would need to go down to H3s maybe too. And then this is how you create your topical silo, your topical cluster, and this is how you kind of figure out what pages need to link to what other pages, right? And now, if you, like I said, if you got this huge silo about HVAC, then HVAC, preventative HVAC maintenance tips, advanced HVAC systems, HVAC costs and repairs, then you know that you can link from these to your HVAC repair service page. Now imagine that if you had your HVAC repair service page, right? Then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different blog posts linking to it. I mean, that is passing around all that internal link juice to your HVAC repair page, which is going to cut down on the amount of guest posts you need to buy, on the amount of niche edits you need to buy. And what's great is with these blog posts, because you aren't really trying to get these to rank, right? You're not worried about ranking #1 for the keyword HVAC system cost. You can shoot SEO Neo to this page, right? And then you can have this page pass along some of the SEO Neo link juice, some of the SEO Neo page rank to your HVAC repair page. Or you can buy G-Site Genie, shoot that over to your HVAC system cost blog post, and then transfer some of that page rank and link juice to your HVAC repair page that way. So because you aren't trying to rank these blog posts, you can rely on cheaper links, which is again going to cut down your link building budget because you've internally linked so efficiently so that the maximum amount of link juice and page rank is going from these blog posts or from any other related service page over to your main page, which is going to help rank your GDP. And that is what everybody gets wrong with internal links and why people waste so much money on their link building budgets when really, if they just interlink better, they would get better results at half the cost or less. So that's about it for this video on the types of links that everybody gets wrong. If you don't want to do this yourself and you just want somebody to do this for you, contact us atghls.io. We will set you up with a new site. We will do all the internal linking for you. We'll make sure that each one of your supporting pages links up to its main page, that you are not wasting your link building budget at all. Again, contact us,ghls.io, or if you want free until you rank, check out our free until you rank program. Again, my name is Kyle Sabra, and I will talk to you later.